Testing 1 2. Anybody hear this? Check, check, check. I assume someone will tell me if they can't. Loud and clear. Okay, good. Hey, Jason. So I have a couple pages to color tonight, and I decided to see what it's like on YouTube. I haven't streamed on YouTube in a while, so we're about to find out. Ask questions anytime. I need to have. I don't have that on. Let's see. Let's fix that. Let's see. Hold on. There we go. Oi. Hello, Jaden. Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is here. Awesome. Nice guitars. Thank you. I had somebody ask me what they were the other day, and I'm so not a guitar head that I had to go back and look at the order to see what I had. Um, but yeah, I know the acoustics is a Takamine, which I became a fan of those. It was well, they were a regional band that kind of they never really hit national levels of fame really, but they had a song in the top 100 I think at one point, but the lead they called King Konga with a K, and their lead singer played a Takamine. I just wanted to be like him, so so that's where we are. And then the electric is it's a Fender Strat HSH. If you're into whatever that means, that was apparently unique. It's got 3 pickups, I think, or is that it? I don't know. I don't know. And the ukulele, I have no idea. A friend of mine gave it to me. I know one chord shape on it, and that's about it. Um, so there you have it. But yeah, I am. I guess I'll do an intro in case anybody's watching a replay of this or something. This is Money Shot number 7, first page. I got 3 pages I might do if I get them all done. And I don't know if I'll do them all tonight, but they're not particularly spoilery pages. So, remember Takamini's being highly coveted when you were in high school? Yeah, I had a very short list of things I wanted. I wanted a cutout in case I learned to shred like Santana, which never really happened. Um, yes, HSH, whatever, single coil humbuckers. I don't know what these words mean. I know that when I play strings, sound comes out. That's I've got one little Yamaha amp that does other noises. As you can tell, I'm big on the big gear guy, right? Um, anyway, so That's the guitar situation. I don't play them enough. I really don't. I wish I played more. Um, but I don't. And I play the bass. That's it for strings. You know, I've got I don't know if you've heard of Rocksmith. It's a Xbox, maybe PlayStation 2, but it's an Xbox game where it'll teach you how to play bass and guitar and different things, and it's legit. Like you really do, like you can really learn how to play real songs. You hook a real guitar into the USB, and it's uh, you can play the bass lessons with an electric guitar, like just play the top four, bottom four, whatever the terminology is. You just play the lowest strings, and I really like playing bass. Like I'm not really playing it, but I don't have a bass, but it is fun to. I was playing. I'm gonna date myself, but I was playing "Don't Speak" by No Doubt. Was that it? Yeah. That is definitely a song that is just like that is high school. I hear it and think, oh, class of '98 right there. I did probably pick a boring place to start this stream today, but my OCD won't let me do anything else. I gotta start here. Yeah, best time to play when you're watching me play or color. Yeah, but yeah, I was playing that and like even stuff like there was Queen. I don't remember what it was. We Are the Champions or something. One of their big hits. Like I don't know. It feels good on a bass. Like and plus it'll you can sort of uh, especially with that game, like there's you hit the right notes and the crowd yells for you and stuff. So like you've got motivation there. You can live out your rock star fantasies. The coolest part about it to me though is the session play. So like I don't know, it's got some kind of algorithms or something in it, and you say like I want to play with a drummer that sounds like this and this organ and this guitar whatever, and then you just start playing like playing chords. Like you choose the key and you choose the scale, which I don't really know what the scales are, so I just like stick with pentonic and major and minor, and that's about it. But you start playing, and then the band will play with you, and like and so it's really fun to like it'll put the fretboard up on the screen, and it'll show you like okay in this scale these are like all the notes that kind of work. So you can just look at it. You don't have to know how to read music or know anything. And like, okay, my fingers go here, and you can sort of sound like you know what you're doing. It's exactly, Jason. It's like Guitar Hero except accurate, right? So, but yeah, it's like a legit way to learn guitar. I never learned like the right way. I don't. I mean, I know chord shapes, and I can hear when it's wrong. But as far as like, I don't really play by ear or anything like that. I gotta have like tabs or whatever. I don't know how accurate this skyline is. If it's accurate, I haven't actually looked at any of it. So it's like, oh, this building's supposed to do that. Like, I don't think it's accurate. I hope it's not, because if it is, like, I should probably figure out what buildings these are. But I mean, who's gonna know? Did you flat this? Sorry, I missed that. No, I didn't. This is actually beyond flatted. Like, I've already done some stuff to this. Like, this is at the point where I kind of start rendering. There's a lot of the work is, as far as the storytelling choices, have already been made on this. And there really wasn't. I mean, this one's pretty straightforward. Like, I was thinking, you'll notice, like, these buildings are all, uh, the lines are a little bit lighter. Did the change the color of those lines, push those back, um, and I kept pretty much everything in the foreground warm. There's inflatable things that are keeping the water at bay because this is in the future, and you know everything's flooding. And then here in the second panel, it's again pretty straightforward. Like, there are some color holds in the background. Um, the scene is what we're meant to see here. It's not really one particular thing. So that one's pretty straightforward. Same thing here. And then this last panel, um, you'll notice everything in the background has colored lines except for the ship, which still has the black lines. We got the ship way off in the background, which I really washed it out, and then darken these people in the front just to make sure create a lot of depth there. But yeah, other than that, that's really all I've done on this, is just set up the base colors. And anything that's hard to color in Photoshop, like all of these windows, uh, anything like that, I've already done before I pull it into Procreate. Not much of it is accurate. Okay, good. Well, I'm not gonna worry too much about it then. I didn't think it was. Like, it didn't jump out at me as being on model or anything, if that's even the term that we use here. I don't know. But what my flatter did here is they went in and, uh, all these buildings are kind of colored different colors. And so what I did was I took a kind of really the color of the sky, like that blue. I put it on a new layer on top of all these buildings. And then just lower the opacity so that some of that blue comes through everywhere. And these things are way, way off in the background, so I'm trying to be pretty careful here. But it's, if I'm outside a little bit, it's not the end of the world. I forget that you can actually do perfect lines just by holding it down in Procreate. I kind of forget about that sometimes. Excuse me. Let's see. Who did the line art? This was Rebecca Isaacs. She's drawing this book. What else? Yeah. I'll try to keep one eye on the stream, but I also want to try to actually get this done tonight. At least one page. right, so I'm making a new layer. This is a linear. What is this called? Linear dodge add mode. Just notice this guy's got plumber's crack. You see the top of Freedom Tower down there? I'm missing it, or either, or maybe I don't. I forgot what it looks like. One or the other. Durakin, hello, how's it going? Yeah, totally different. Well, not totally different. Jason came, but I have different crew than my. I do this on Twitch every Wednesday, and it's kind of become like a set of regulars there. So it's interesting to see who shows up for these things. I love all the phones in the air because that is totally what would happen here if an alien ship was coming down. You're the universal constant. That's right, Jason. What show was that? Was that Lost or Fringe? I can't remember. It was one of those. I'm missing it. Is this the event referred to in the prologue? Yes. This issue doesn't have a scroll. We're showing what happened here. Only a true fan would catch that. Is that word earlobe? I'm not following that one. Sorry, I don't know what to talk about. Right now, I'm just adding highlights. That's about it. I'm just smudging this right now. Like, I'm switching between the brush and the smudge tool, basically. People that are here, where did you guys come from? Did you get a notification? Were you on YouTube's homepage? I'm just curious. Yeah, when I got the script, I said the same thing. I was like, "Oh, we're getting to see it." Notification, cool. Yeah, they actually they just well, a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago, they started opening up some analytics on some of that stuff to show like what percentage of people, you can see now what percentage has like video notifications only, and then you can see what percentage has all notifications turned on. Um, so yeah, it's interesting uh, to see that stuff finally. I've never really paid that close attention to it anyway, but now that it's there, it's like, well, I guess I'll see what's up. Yeah, it's actually it's a 3-page scene. Yeah, what you're wanting to see is actually on the 3rd page. You know, I've never seen Mars Attacks. I know it's one of those like kind of culty classics, but I never got around to it. Greetings from Peru. Hello. Gurkro? Is that how you say that? Probably not. That's the best I could do. Yeah, I knew as soon as I saw this first page, I was like, these people are all way too happy about this. Aramis, what are you doing? My cat has joined us. Can't draw a straight line today. Aramis, what are you doing? You gonna talk to us? No, quit. Nope. Nope. You're not allowed to tear up the carpet. No streaming services. Yeah, it never fails that if there's like an old movie that I haven't seen that I want to see and I go look for it, um, it's never streaming on anything that I anything that I actually subscribe to. You became a Tom Jones fan because of that movie. Well, that's intriguing. Now I'm really interested. Um, sorry, I've got to turn my phone off. Oh, cool! I just got notification from. I'll be signing at the Vault booth at Emerald City. I don't know if any of you guys are going to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, but I'll be signing at the Vault booth Saturday afternoon. Yay! All right, so I'm trying to debate if I this is a flashback, and I don't know if I want to do like the usual flashback thing and have it like washed out, or I would or something, and just have the end of the flashback be a bigger turn, like a bigger change, or just leave it like it is. I don't know. It needs to be obvious that I need to go look at that art, I guess. It needs to be obvious that, you know, the time is changing, but I don't know if it necessarily needs, like, you know, sepia tone, whatever people do for flashbacks. Like, it's not a rule that it has to be sepia colored. I'm saying this, and it's going to end up being sepia colored, probably. No, I don't know what it's going to be yet. And I'll do it this way. That way, if I decide I don't want to, I can leave it, and then I can always drop something over the top of it. I don't know. Emerald City is in Seattle. Yep. It's coming up. What day is that? It is. Not. It's. I think the show is March 12th through the 15th. I'm only going to be there basically Saturday. No, I'll be there Friday, wandering around that afternoon. But it's Saturday the 14th. It's not close to you, Jason. It's just a flight away. I actually couldn't believe I found a direct flight, which I was shocked, from New Orleans, which is only about an hour 15. I was kind of thinking along those lines, Jason, about, you know, keeping this and then showing the shift to the future as bleaker. It's kind of what happens. Um, I don't know. Nothing is jumping out at me as needing to be done on this. But you guys are all. Oh, I need to fix these. These things are on a separate layer. But some white ended up in there somehow. So I'm going to delete that. I would be in. These pages would take twice as long if Rebecca didn't separate so much of this out. I think I thank her like every other issue. I'm like, thank you, by the way, for putting all this stuff on a separate layer. Especially for the color holds. Like, I'm just doing a ton of color holds because it's so easy. Because all of this is on a separate layer. All the background inks. So it just, in order to do color holds, I literally just select the panel. And then I can change all the background inks at one time. That helps a ton. I think that's the only place that is out of whack. Everything else I think is fine. I don't know. Anything else you guys think this one needs? This is the 12.9. 2018? I guess it's still the newest. I don't think they have a newer model. Or maybe they did a spec bump or something, but it's I think it's the newest model you can get still. I think that's probably changing this year. I think they usually have a new model every 2 years. So it's gonna have to be a. Dude, I don't know what it'd have to be. It's gonna have to be something like really crazy for me to switch this time. I didn't do any rendering on her outfit at all. I just noticed. Um, because I'm really not seeing any like you know captivating reason to upgrade this time, unless they announce it's doing some crazy stuff I haven't thought of yet, and think that I need it. I say that, and they're definitely going to do something just because I said that. It's like, oh, this one cooks your breakfast or whatever. I'm gonna I'm gonna eat my words here. Starlight Charisse, just coming in. What's the topic about today? Whatever. We're just talking. No topic of the day. The new one is going to have improvements geared mostly for photography. Yeah, they're always the cameras are always crazier, and I can probably count on. I mean, I'm not going to go to my I'm not going to go to my photo thing to look now, but I don't know that I've taken 3 photos of this thing since I've got it. I could not care less about a camera on this. This is basically the Procreate machine. That's what it's become anyway in my house. Um, yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, but yeah, they always usually they with the iPad they'll do a big CPU upgrade, and it's what will eventually be in the next iPhone. That's what they've done the last couple of times, like the A7 13 whatever they're on. Um, but yeah, no, I love it. It's literally been life changing for me. So not being stuck at a desk and I still haven't came across any Wacom stuff at any price that is feels better. Which is why I'm still using it. All right, I'm gonna save this one and go to the next one. These will probably get tweaked on a little bit. In Photoshop too, but I'm not gonna worry about that right now. I'll do all the like together. If anyone had called the Centaur alien, then you won that bet. But you wouldn't be able to because the issue where she's introduced is also not out yet. She is briefly introduced at the end of number 6. Is that right? Yeah. But yeah, I love the design. Design is crazy. This is what happens when I forget that Procreate. Sometimes I will go in Photoshop when I'm setting this up. I'll change the opacity, or mean to change the opacity of the layer, and but accidentally change the fill percentage, which Procreate doesn't import. So that's why they're all the same color. I think I had it about right there. And I'm keeping this on a separate layer just so if I decide that I want to shift that color layer, I will. I probably won't, but that's what we're doing. Yeah, the thing is though, these cameras are well, they're not cameras. I've already messed it up. But yeah, these are bodyguards. Little Shot is a advanced camera. They do look similar though. That is totally Professor X. Possibly. I don't know. I cannot confirm or deny whether that's Professor X or not. The name of this book is Money Shot. This is number 7. It's put out by Vault Comics. I will link. Let's see. There you go. I think number 6 is the only one you can pre-order right now, but you should be able to click around and see the rest of them. Okay, where to begin? And again, on this one, I did a lot of the most of the storytelling work has already been set up. You know, cool colors mostly in the background, really washed out, low contrast colors like in that first panel. She's got more warm than cool going on. This second panel is pretty straightforward. These guys are actually on separate layers. I went in and just shifted those colors around. This little crowd. If she does stuff like that, sometimes she'll put those on separate layers, just because it's easier for me to edit and shift the colors around and all that. I did change the color of the lines in panel 3 and 4, at least on these, everybody else, because like if I turn this off and just color everybody else in panel 4 with as much saturation, as much contrast as these people in the front, then they're sort of lost. So it's important that we see that he is shoving these people out of the way. And so by washing everyone else in one color, it sort of blends them all together. It lowers the contrast so that on these people in the front, we can increase the contrast. Number 5 is out a week from this Wednesday. Yeah. How do they look when you got it? Were all 3 layers in black? They were at like varying levels of opacity. They were just black and gray, yeah. But all I did was shift the colors. So like the ones in front that are closest are still black. These guys are like a dark blue, and then these are just a lighter. I mean, it's really desaturated blue. And I can still shift that around later if I want. But it's where I started anyway. And this last shot is a real like dramatic shot as he is introduced the President of the United States. Spoiler alert. So what I'll do on him is I'll actually paint. This is on a multiply layer. So I'll actually like erase some of these shadows from him. and just to make more contrast, make it a more dramatic shot than just him standing there looking boring. So let's see. I think I'm gonna do shadows on this first. I'm debating. I might end up going back and changing that first one. I swear, from issue to issue, sometimes what I'm doing is it's all pretty similar, but I'll get there 3 different ways sometimes in one issue. Let's try that. Why are you using Procreate and not Photoshop? I prefer to render in Procreate on the iPad. I think it's just a better, especially for like brushy stuff like I'm doing. It just feels a lot better. But I haven't done any rendering in Photoshop not in any significant amount for a couple of years now. How long have I had an iPad? 3 years? 4 years? Something like that. I haven't found something that works as well to me. Yeah, like Jason said, I still like Procreate's limited in the selection tools that it has. So there's certain things that are just faster in Photoshop. Do I know how to use Clip Studio? Barely. I'm not a fan. I know it's a good app, but I find it highly unintuitive. I'm being nice. I actually did a stream a couple of months ago, like halfway as a joke, just because so many people were asking about it. And what it did is confirm that yes, it is highly in need of a UI overhaul, which I think they've done on the iPad version. They've made it a little bit better, anyway, than it was. It's not quite as, because all they did for a while was just took the desktop app and stuck it on the iPad with no thought to it being a touch interface. And now they've sort of changed that a little bit. CSB is a good app. Never said it wasn't. Just not for me. Like I'm like all of the usual reasons people have for getting away from Photoshop just don't apply for me. Like I am paying for the suite regardless. Like I've got to have Premiere, and that's what I learned on. I know there's other video apps. Like Premiere, I use Audition. Like I've got presets for everything. Like everything works smoothly. For me, that's all I need. So it's not, I'm not really saving anything. Like if I were to all of a sudden switch to Clip, like I would still be paying Photoshop, Adobe for everything else. So I'm chipping away at it. I am trying. I really am. I find it incredibly frustrating, though. There's another colorist, though, John Roush, he's working on a, I think it's coming out pretty soon. He's working on a how to color in Clip Studio thing. I'm looking forward to trying it because I am his perfect client for this. Just do not understand how to do anything in that app. I mean, except the usual stuff that everybody knows, how to use layers, the basics, and all that. But anyway, I won't go full on soapbox on all that. Hello, Adrian. What's up? Thank you. You're right. Each artist has to be comfortable with a specific tool or software. Yeah, honestly, like there's so many good apps these days. There really are. There's a lot of apps that work well. I talked about this a little bit on Twitch this week earlier, but I do think we're in like the people that are using especially iPads for art right now. I would say that you are still like an early adopter. You know what I mean? Um, like all the apps do most things pretty well, but there's always like the like for like Procreate for example, like doesn't have fantastic selection tools. Um, Clip Studio's UI is horrific to me. Like Photoshop does pretty much everything, um, minus the things like there are things Clip does better for sure. Like on the especially more on the art and drawing side, I think like there's it's a very sophisticated app that does a lot. Um, but it's not really optimized for the iPad, which I like. But like Krita and GIMP and like there's a lot of good apps. I'm shifting the colors of the shadows on her hair and her tail away from that kind of cool whatever I was using. Warming that up. And I think I want to change. I just want to see what it looks like if I change the. I want to see what happens if I warm these up to. Yeah, I like that better. It's just a little bit more. I don't know. What is it? It's more purple? Yeah. There's the multiply layer. How did you get the outer layer comic lines? Explain that a little bit more for me, Starlight. I'll try to answer it. I don't follow what you mean. Gurkrow can't live without Adobe Illustrator. I've never used Illustrator. You know, I used to ink when I was inking my own drawings, like way back in the day, like early 2000s, like 2003, 2004, when I first got a tablet. I was inking in Flash. I don't know if anyone's old enough to remember when that was possible, but it had great like what's the word? It had like they were like vector inks, and yeah, I was using Flash. I look back on that, I'm like, that seems so weird. I really did not know what I was doing. I started the first things I ever colored was in Paint Shop Pro. If you guys ever remember that. I found a CD with that on it the other day. I went to my father-in-law's and used his acetylene torch to burn. I'm sure I released awful things in the atmosphere, but I just burned some CDs. I could not figure out the best way to environmentalist watching. I'm sorry, but I could not figure out a way to get rid of all these CDs. Like, I didn't want to just chunk them. They still had stuff on it. I didn't remember what all was on it. I didn't know there was some backup disc. I didn't need them anymore. But yeah, he had a torch. He let me show me how to use it, and I fried him. That worked. Or someone would have to. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be reading those. I don't know how I got off on that. Adrian was about to ask for a good tutorial on CSP coloring. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. I don't follow anybody that uses it. I'm sorry. Do you use a screen protector? Do you have a better grip like Paperlike than drawing on straight glass? Have you ever scratched your screen without using one? I've been using an iPad for 3 or 4 years. I can't remember exactly. It's at least 3. No, to answer your question, I don't use a screen protector. I tried. It's funny you should ask about that. I tried using a screen protector, well, the one you mentioned, Paperlike, a couple of months ago, and they send you 2 of them. Really, because if you screw up the first one, like which you will, you have the spare ready to go. Okay. I couldn't get it on. Like, I watched the video, I watched all the tips, like I read everything on the website. Like, without fail, there were like air bubbles and just weird things on the screen. Like, it was an awful experience. So I screwed up the first one, got the second one. Like, all right, now I'm gonna not screw this up this time, and screwed that one up. Like, it was sort of on, but not straight. Like, I don't know if I'm just not smart or smart enough to put it on, but yeah, it just did not work for me. And so I called them, and they were like, "Oh, well, you know, it happens. We'll send you another one or another 2. They come in batches of 2." Same exact thing happened again. It was the same thing. Paperlike. I asked them, and like I verified, like I'm doing this right. Like, it just would not go on without little. I mean, you have to be in like a clinical clean room apparently to, like, you know, uh, to actually put this thing on straight without bubbles. Like I am a total fanatic about screen quality. Like, I like my pixels, okay? Like, I'm paying for all these pixels. I don't want to use something, you know, that is going to make the image look worse. And Paperlike actually reached out to me yesterday, just out of the blue. They're like, "Hey, we found your channel. We like it. Have you tried Paperlike? We'll send you one." And I said, "Unless you have changed the installation procedure, I'm just not interested." And I explained my issues from before. And they said, "We will send you one for free. Go to this website, fill out this form. We will mail you 2 more. We would love to hear your thoughts and review or whatever." And I'm like, do you do you really want that? Um, so yeah, they're sending me another two, I guess, and I will give them a shot and we'll see what happens. But the thing that I did notice, I after the fourth one, as after I got it on, I was like, you know what? It's got some bubbles. I'm gonna leave it for a bit and just at least say that I tried it. Um, I did notice that it was definitely grippier. Um, but I've always drawn on. I mean, I've been drawing digitally on glass and slick tablets since 2003. So like, I don't have the issue that some people have with like slick surfaces. Um, the other thing I noticed is like oil from your hands seem to build up very quickly on. I don't have like crazy oily hands or anything, but like it would build up and then you would get these like little sparkly looking effects, like certain pixels were different colors, and like my 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 early impressions of the little bit that I used it, none of it was any good at all. I know people like paper like or whatever, but I'm not one of those people. Let's see. Do you use a screen protector? Right, we covered that one. Thank you, Gold Slogger, by the way, for coming by. I can never find one that starts from the very beginning. Um, Look at one of mine in Photoshop, and I mean, if you know Clip, I'm not doing anything incredibly fancy with it. It's all just layers, and it all works. Even the Photoshop tutorials. Inker using Clip, yep. Procreate's very good. A lot to learn. It does. It does. It does a lot. It hides a lot of what it can do sometimes, but it does a lot. I intend to start a portfolio online by recoloring classic public domain comics. Do you think I should? Would do you? Hold on. You think it should be a good start to both practice and show my work? I mean, if the art's good, great. Yeah, I mean, just the art needs to be good. Like, there's so many portfolios I see from people that are coloring what is obviously amateur artwork. Like, it's not going to work in a portfolio very well. How do you get the comic page to add the characters on? I didn't draw this, but it's just somebody was asking about DPI. I might as well show you. This file is like comic book sized. 6 point, weird comic book sizes. 400 DPI, which puts it at 4175 tall, 2750 wide. RGB. I don't know if you guys care about this other stuff, but yeah, that's the deal. I mean, it's just drawn. It's digitally drawn also. So they're just drawn on there. That's a terrible answer, I guess, but I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that one. All you have to do is make a big scratch across it with scissors. True, but the problem is I had like 100 or 200 CDs. It was a whole bunch of CDs, and I didn't want to do that. DPI, the Procreate files 400. We talked about that. How did you deselect all the other layers to see the shadow layer a few minutes ago? That was so quick. You just hold down on the visibility toggle, the little checkbox here. You just hold that down, and it'll only show that one. So you can go grab the color real quick. There's more happening here than it looks, or there's less happening than it looks like here. I know there seems like a lot of layers, but like all of this is inks. That's inks. That's inks, technically. We can hide all this. This can be down here. Oh, this is not supposed to be in there. There we go. But yeah, let me try to simplify some of this. This is just all inks, varying layers. It's drawn on separate layers, so that's why there's so many inks. And then there's the colors. The base colors are here. The flats are underneath it. This is basically just a selection of mostly the foreground. The middle panels aren't great at that. This is background. And what I'll do with those is, let me turn all this back on. If I want to quickly, like on this bottom panel, I can hold two fingers on that FG, this layer, and it selects the contents of that layer. So it's quicker than switching to the flats and the lasso and selecting it all. Like, I'll just grab the whole foreground or grab the whole background or whatever. And then the panels are also separate. I use these a lot more in Photoshop because it's just easier in Photoshop. But let's see. Old artwork. Oh, we're talking about the public domain. That's true. Jason's got a good point. I didn't even think about that. Public domain's not going to be like modernly drawn. Is that a word? Probably not. Do you check the finished page on different monitors or just rely on one? I have my main desktop monitor that is, calibrated. I use one of those spider calibration things not often enough, probably. Like every 6 months, I will run that calibration thing. What I see on that monitor, I trust completely. So, and honestly, it's not that different than what I'm seeing on the iPad. So, I mean, whatever I see on the iPad is pretty much what I'm going to see on that monitor. These things are really well calibrated. So, I haven't really had any problems. And what gets printed is exactly what I'm seeing. So, I trust all that stuff. But yeah, it always ends up in Photoshop because you can't convert RGB to CMYK in Procreate. Like, you can use a CMYK file, but there's no way to convert an RGB file to CMYK. And it has to be converted to CMYK for print. Like, the final files that I submit to the publisher are in CMYK. And even Clip Studio doesn't do CMYK. Not the right way. So there's really not... It's kind of hard to color comics professionally without Photoshop. I mean, it happens. I'm sure somebody's figured out a way to do it. But there's most people, like when I'm done with this, I'll go into Photoshop and do my final tweaks, and I can look at a CMYK preview. I can check all that. So all that stuff gets checked. I'll probably just do that after this page, just to show you guys what it looks like. Or the kind of things I do. Usually it's just like levels adjustments and just kind of lots of OCD things that I check. So my hair is getting long. I don't know what to do with it. It's long by my standards anyway. How long did it take you to learn all the gestures and be comfortable using Procreate? I don't know, like I don't remember it feeling like it took a long time. Like, I mean, and I'm sorry, I'm terrible at working and talking at the same time if you can't figure that out. What was I doing? Shadows. But yeah, I don't remember it being like a big. I mean, I would slowly pick up more and more and get faster and faster, like the more I worked with it. But like when I first got it, like I did a really deep dive into all the handbooks, like and I honestly like the Procreate handbook that Savage puts out themselves is fantastic. Like, no one reads it apparently, but like there's so much cool stuff in it. All the little gestures and 3-finger swipe down, copy and paste, and little all this stuff. Like, there's so much stuff that it does that is not obvious, like, unless you intentionally go look for it. So I really dove into all that stuff and figured out everything that I possibly could. I was also doing that because I sell courses on Procreate, so I was very motivated to know all this stuff. ComicColor.com. Let's see. How do you get the planes background to put the characters on? They're not really on the planes. Like, it's just a selection filled with a color, and that's it. So, okay, let's actually try to work. Long hair looks good on me. Thank you. I guess. I looking back at old videos, I look like an egg. I look like Wooly Wally. Wooly Willy? What was his name? The guy with the little magnet pen when you were a kid? I'm really dating myself now. I look at old videos and I'm like, it's just all one length. It's like the two guard everywhere. I started growing my beard out a year ago or something. I keep it trimmed, but I'd recommend that. My laptop, where I do most of my work, is definitely more pale. Laptop monitors are bad a lot. I mean, they make some people make some good ones, but phones are actually not bad. Like some of them, a lot of the Samsungs though, like I've noticed, they tend to just saturate things like crazy, and so like, all right, I'm now removing from the shadow layer, like this multiply layer that fills up everything on his face. So I'm actually gonna delete basically from this. You could also do this with a mask, but whatever works for you is fine. I used to still use masks sometimes for this, but we've gotten to the point now where they kind of know what they're getting from me, and I don't get a ton of notes. You know, oh, you should do this. Like, so that lets me be confident in what I'm doing, and I find myself not using as many of those little um, tricks as I was, because a lot of the stuff that I do is done that way because I am wanting to make editing and fixing things like as easy as possible. But yeah, usually at some I get to a point where it's like, okay, we kind of know what's going on. I know what to expect. They know what to expect, and it all kind of works. Mr. Potato Head. No, you got to look him up. Look up Wooly. It's either Wooly Willy or Wooly Wally, one or the other. Somebody look that up. It was a bald guy with a red nose, and there were magnetic shavings under a plastic thing you could push around with a magnet pen. You give him a beard, give him hair, whatever. Where my hair was shorter with a short beard, that's what I look like. Sometimes colors look blended in my tablet monitor, and I look out on the other one, it doesn't look as clean. Yeah. Yeah, I really I don't have the system I have apparently seems to be working, so I'm not an expert on all the possible ways to do that, but and keep in mind too, like I don't know. I mean, if you're familiar with my channel, then you know I've said this a gajillion times, but everything that I'm saying is what works for me. And you could ask 10 people and get 10 answers. So take it with a grain of salt. If you disagree, that's fine. It happens. These shadow colors probably won't stay these colors, but it doesn't really matter at this point. I just need to get the shadows in. I can always shift those later. Like they're a little too dark and green or whatever they are, but I'll change that in a second. So I'm gonna lighten up these shadows a little bit and get them away from that weird color. Better. Better. Do you work 100% on the iPad now? No. The iPad is like the middle of my process. Now, I spend the majority of the time there, but what you're seeing now is what I do on the iPad, like rendering, light, shadow, all that stuff. The pages get set up in Photoshop and get finalized in Photoshop. iPad's Procreate kind of falls in the middle. So yeah, my process is a little funky, but it's just two apps. Oh, I heard back. I'll be sure to explain this Wednesday on the stream too. But so a couple of weeks ago, you guys may have seen it, but I made a video about basically why most colorists that I know don't use Procreate, and it's almost all about the selection tools. And so I made a video to explain this. One of the few times that I've like used my B-lister YouTuber status to like get the attention of of a of an app developer, but it worked, and they responded and was like, "Hey, we." They basically said we weren't understanding why people had problems with our selection tools. They didn't understand the issue, which to me was pretty obvious because it was ignored for years. But they sent me a great email, very nice email about it, and which I appreciated very much. And so I sent them a magic wand. Like that was kind of the joke, was that there's no magic wand, and so I sent them the elder wand from Harry Potter. And with just a note, hey, here's some inspiration for the team. I know they're working on it or whatever. And I got an email today. Um, Said well played. The engineering team got a big laugh out of it. So I was happy that they appreciated the magic wand that I sent them. I've definitely adapted to a style with as few layers as possible, which is why flatting is essential. Yeah, over the years, I guess I started off real basic on the layers I was using, and then over time, like I found myself putting a bigger and bigger premium on the ability to change things like on the fly, you know, and be able to shift colors around. Like later on, if I want to change these shadow colors, excuse me, I can do that. Or if I want to shift this background to a different color, like I can do that without. I don't want to re-render anything. Like to me, that's the bane of my existence. If I have to re-render something, which is, I mean, it very rarely ever happens. I can't even think of a situation where it does. Um, but you know, you work with some people for the first time or new creators, whatever, and you never know. I mean, um, and so I try to work in a way that I can easily shift everything around. And what that's done is more layers than what I used to do. So, so like on this panel here, I'm gonna have most of her in shadow, just to kind of help frame what's happening here with him. And anyway, that's what I'm doing now. I'm trying to remember to explain what I'm doing every now and then. I'm going to shift these colors on this bottom panel. Oops. Let's turn this off for a second. I'm not going to worry about shadows in panel 3. We just don't need that much contrast on all those people in the background. I'll do some highlights in a little bit just to make it not flat, but let's see. Give me a second here. Wooly Willy. Thank you, Jason. Does stroking does stroking your beard help you think? I just do it. I don't know. It's probably because my beard wants to do Wolverine things, and so I'm kind of unintentionally like trying to keep it reined in, or not consciously, but yeah. But no, it must do something. I mean, there's got to be something that stereotype, right? I don't know. Do you ever look at some of the pages from super detailed inkers and not know WTF any of it is? I look at Compex pages and can't tell what's what. I would say, well, I don't know. If it depends on who's inking, I guess. Like, it might be you're looking at bad inks, or or you might just not be used to breaking them down like that. I think there's definitely an art to that. Like There's some pages. Now I'm going to be conscious about about doing this. Um, but yeah, I mean there's some there's a shift to me in comics where it used to be that, like, inks looked more finished. You know what I mean? Like there's some like super popular books, really really popular big two spandex wearing books that, like, you look at the ink version of the page like at arm's length and it's completely unreadable. Like, I mean, yeah, you might be able to tell, okay, here's people or whatever, but like they know their colorist is coming in. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like it's drawn in a way. Not everybody, but I see it a lot where it's drawn in a way that it's like, well, this will get separated in the colors. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, and that's not everybody again, but I there's definitely a shift towards some types of inking that just is designed to work with colors. Do I have brushes to buy? I have brushes. I have some Photoshop brushes in my courses, but I don't have any brush packs or anything. I buy other people's brush packs. My reliance on using fewer layers comes more from my low quality computers. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, they're all pretty fast these days, though. You got to have a really bad computer for it not to be able to handle Photoshop files, which it's totally possible you have. Um, but I see that a lot with older colorists too. Like, and if they've been doing it for 20 years, they're probably not using 100 layers. I mean, more likely than not, because when they started, you couldn't have 3 layers; it would blow the computer up. You know. Anyway, do I want to go back and redo? I like the way page 2 works better than page 3 or page 1, especially on their faces. At least in panel, I think in panel 3, I do want to go back and change that, but I'll do it later. Let you guys watch me render again. Okay. Yeah, I swear, from one issue to the next, I will totally like forget what I was doing. I have to go back and look. Like, what was I? Was I doing shadow? Was I doing this on a separate layer? Or yeah, I don't know. Mine's another guy with a beard. You can confirm it's true. Oh, the this. If you go to the link right above, I'm doing this backwards. Right here. If you go to that link, comicolor.com, that's my website. It'll link you to everything. Is like there's stuff on Skillshare and there's stuff on Udemy and there's stuff on my website, and the stuff on my site you can download the videos. That's the main difference. Other than that, uh, YouTube channel's got a lot of stuff if you want to see more of me first. Good morning from Tokyo. Welcome. Daddy Duder Pops Culture. Nice name. All right. So where were we? We've done pretty much all the foreground. We need to do something with not a lot, but I want to get something down on. Why is that doing that? There we go. This is what I meant to say. The background on this thing. All right. Yes, apparently it does help. I do it all the time. um. So what I'll do after this is some highlights on everything, and that'll be pretty much it here. I'm going to shift the color. I want this to look more like gold trim than whatever it is now. Those shadow colors aren't helping sell that as, you know, gold. It needs to be warmer. There we go. And then the other way we can make that look shiny is to put little specular highlights on it, which are these sort of thin little white strips of light we're seeing here. Basically, if you want something to look shiny, increase the contrast. Like the shadows should be darker, the light should be lighter. I know it's counterintuitive, but if you think about the shiniest possible thing, which is I guess chrome, it's best to start really dark and then build up the light with it. Anyway, I'm trying to throw out some kind of useful information every now and then because I'm just awful at working and talking at the same time. Excuse me. I guess these things are like powering down, but they're not off yet, so they're just gonna still be glowing, maybe? Not glowing as bright as they were on the first page, but I feel like I'm jumping all over the place, probably because y'all are watching. I'm just rounding out some of this. On the edges that are curved more. What happened to her face? I must have accidentally put that on there. Okay. Where was I? Highlights. I'm gonna put them in linear dodge, add mode, whatever you want to call it. And they're gonna be warm. Basically, warm on the warm parts and cool on the cool parts. Basically. And I'm just going to select her hair everywhere. And then do it all at the same time. But the reason I like add mode a lot, and I use it a lot lately, is because, like, for example, on her hair, like, I'm getting an orange highlight basically at 50% opacity, but if I use it over the top of that, it shifts to yellow. So you're getting, like, that little color gradient that you want. The highlights aren't just a lighter version of the base color, necessarily. Do you sell any beard brushes? No, I should, right? I should get a. I asked Beard Brand if they wanted to sponsor my channel because, I had a beard. That wasn't enough for them. And again, I want this to, like, it's meant to look fancy. So instead of doing, like, really soft highlights, I'm doing harder, smaller highlights. And that tends to make things look like these. They're called specular highlights, and they tend to make things look shinier. And if I do want a broader highlight, I'll just switch to like a soft brush and paint it in there. Forgot to do her tail. Not doing as many highlights or as bright because I don't want you, I don't want, you know, I don't want you, your vision, your reader's eye to get pulled to her tail necessarily. This is why Procreate needs a magic wand. If it wasn't obvious. Questions, comments, concerns? Just bored? I don't know what to talk about when I'm just adding light. I mean, I'm thinking about more contrast at the top than I am, you know, even the bottom of her body. You know what I mean? It's subtle, but it helps. And you know how horses have that kind of, if they're healthy and they have that kind of shiny look, I guess I'm trying to do that too. Did you go to college for art? No, I did not. The first time I went to college out of high school, I went for drafting, like architectural type drafting, because I thought at that point I didn't really want to pursue art as a career because it's so um, it's not a particularly stable career relative to, you know, whatever else. Um, but yeah, no, I didn't go to school. So I went back. I didn't finish then, and then I went back in 2010. No, 2009. I went to nursing school, became a nurse, did that for a couple of years, and did that. I was coloring on the side, kind of part time, doing a YouTube channel part time, and then at some point, let's see, December last year, I finally quit the day job, and now I just color and make videos and courses and whatnot. Do you ever get the art and think WTF is this? uh, no, not I get not. That's not my exact words anyway. I get the scripts for these, so I kind of it's exciting to see the script first before you get I get the scripts before I get the art with, at least with Vault, and so yeah, I kind of like, oh, we're gonna have a centaur alien or whatever. So I guess it's hard to surprise me these days, especially after this book. Dino Angel, welcome. Hi. What are we doing? Where are we at? So she's pretty rendered up. And let's do these people. Looks great. Thank you. Sometimes I try stuff and just don't like it like that. Excuse me. The background people drawing styles are different from the people in the foreground. Yeah, and that's all in the colors actually. Like um, the original inks, the lines in the back are a little bit thinner, um, and there's not as many like heavy blacks. So there's a subtle difference in the inks, but the color differences is in the it's on this layer here. But yeah, that's just a good artist. What is this comic? This is Money Shot #7 from Vault Comics. And ongoing. I think we can say that now. I hope I can say that now. Surprise. Lately, I'm just focusing on learning how to make comics, so I'm not doing very well with it. What are you struggling with? The part where you make them is probably probably the answer, right? But that panel is a great example of like controlling your level of detail in your rendering. You know, a lot of people, one of the questions I get more than anything is like, well, how do you color so fast, or you do a page in 2 hours, or whatever. Like a lot of that is knowing what to color, like what to detail and what not to detail. You know, because if the level of detail that I put like on this character, if I spent that much time on like every person here, one, it'd be a waste of time because it would just muddy up the storytelling. It wouldn't be as clear. Um, and then um, and then two, it's just too much detail. You know, these people are small. They're drawn really small on the page. You know, like this we're looking at here is about like that's about print size as far as what I'm seeing. So these people are going to be 3 or 4 centimeters tall. So I think a lot of newer people haven't developed that sense of like, oh, this is really small, so I don't have to like go crazy with it. Because if you zoom up like this, and it's like, okay, I need to like really like you're gonna end up wasting a bunch of time. I mean, you can see these faces are when you get close, like there's no detail at all. In the line art, look, I mean, somebody said it's Professor X. However, they're just like hinted at faces because it does it. We don't need all that detail. And the people in front, the guy screaming, his is a little bit more, uh, slightly more finished, than the rest of them. So like knowing like how much to do, when and where is kind of part of the deal. Excuse me. You guys are gonna hate this guy. so much. That's all I'm going to say. You're not going to like him. Or let me put it this way. If you like the main characters in this book, you're not going to like this guy very much. I was reading the script. I'm like, oh, this mother. Like, good job, Tim. I hate this guy. Is there a specific palette for the background people? Those colors seem are very monochromatic. They are more monochromatic. Yeah. There's in this case, like it's gonna be different from panel to panel, but everyone in the background is sort of washed in this pink purple color that I'm using, and sometimes that's it just depends on the scene. You know, if this was if this was at night, maybe it's a different color. You know, but yeah, that's all intentional because if and I mentioned this earlier, but if I colored everybody in the background the same way with just as much detail, it just becomes this like blob of detail, you know. So I need to do something to pull these people forward, you know, to show like, okay, we need to look at this guy, and we need to, you know, see that he's pushing these people. But even there's like Rebecca is to me, she's the most underrated artist working. Like, she's an amazing artist, but she's doing things that if you're not looking for it, you won't notice. Like for example, in this panel here, like it seems pretty straightforward. Like you got the president here pushing his way past through these two people, but notice the shapes that she's using here along this edge across the top. It's like this is all just like a sea of heads. There's very little white space around their heads. Like she wants you to see this as like a big mass, and then over here just a big mass. But look on both sides of his head. Both sides of his head, you get a little bit of space there. Like that's a subtle thing. Like that's not something that like, you know, most people picking up this book are not going to notice that. But between the way that she's framed this panel and the colors, like even though like he's not huge in the panel, it's still something that is helping to draw attention to his head, you know. And there's little things like that she does, and I'm so impressed with it. Makes my job easy, or easier anyway. You are so close to 40,000 subscribers, am I? Where are we at? I gotta look it up. I'm assuming everybody here is probably subscribed. But maybe not. $200 away. That's crazy. I don't know. It's taken me ages to get to that point, so I don't know how impressive that is. Alrighty. Let's see. Where were we? Lighting. Whoops. I don't like the color of the highlights on his jacket. They probably need to be cooler. I don't know, it's just mixing weird. Yeah, now it's just like a gray, basically. Excuse me. You worked before with Rebecca on Hack Slash. No, I didn't. I don't know what books. I don't know which one she worked on, but I wasn't a part of that one. I think it was before. I think it was before I ever worked on it. I'm curious how long. Hour and a half. It's about the usual. So yeah, at this stage, like I've got most of the shadows and all that stuff where I want them. I will usually at this point I will start if there are any areas that I want to have any kind of reflected light or anything else in the shadows. I'll usually do that now. So like I don't know. All this stuff's pretty subtle. Like, I don't know if people ever notice this or not, but I do. So, like, on this shadow up here, if you think about shadows as, like, shadows aren't a real physical thing. Like, if you think of them as just an area with less light, to me it makes more sense. So like what I mean is it's like on this horse, on her back, you know, I've got the light hitting her from the front, and so like, you know, her arm and her upper torso and all that is, you know, is affecting, you know, this area. So you can see the light around it, like where the light's hitting it, but the main light source though isn't hitting that area. So what light source is hitting that area is the question. And, or at least that's how I think about it. So if the light source is not the main light source, then what's left? Well, what's left in this case is the sky. Okay? So like the sky itself is a big ass light source. Pardon my French. And the sky in this case is blue. So in that area, I'm going to put some blue. And it's usually a lot softer, and it's usually, you know, secondary light sources are typically softer. And if there's anywhere else where like there's just a big shadow area that I want to mix the colors up a little bit more, like on her tail and her horse body, whatever you call this. So I wanna shift this around to like a warm red, because in these shadows, the light's actually like it's reflecting off the horse and it's reflecting off the floor, and like it's all that's just getting warmer and warmer. Same thing with like down here. So on the underside, the main light source isn't hitting it, so what is? Well, you're going to have reflected light from her legs themselves. You know what I mean? So, like, that's going to bounce light around and the ground, but she's probably too far away from the grass to, like, throw green up here. So, anyway, I'm just going to use this, like, red. Oh, my laptop is, or my iPad is dying. Sorry. So yeah, throw a little bit of this around. And I'm going to soften this up. I don't want it to have like a hard edge. Same thing through here. Oh no. Yeah, read. This book is extremely for adults. uh this would be what would this be rated? It's not I would say I would say most issues are R rated, like hard R rated. I don't think it gets past R rated, huh? I mean, there is that one organ. Oh, number five. There's yeah. No, this is yeah. Yeah, not that's a little beyond R rated. It's books about scientists becoming porn stars. Like if you didn't look it up yet, so it's not porn in and of itself. But yeah, okay. Just making sure, Reed. I'm like, oh god, no. That is funny. But yeah, yeah, definitely not a kids one. And same thing here. So like, I want to. I don't know what color. It's not going to be that different from the rest, but something about like this maybe. I don't know. And then I think the last thing on him. What do I want to do here? I don't want to leave his whole face just in shadow. So same principles apply. Like this is just physics. Um, we've got our main light source coming in from over here, and so all of your any secondary light sources are all going to be contained to these shadows from that light source. You know, none of those lights are going to come into the light because it's too bright and it's going to overpower everything else. So we want this to look really dramatic also. So like, and he's not a nice character, and so I'm going to choose like a red. And so he's going to be like kind of underlit with this red on all the planes that are facing down. So I'm thinking I'm really just in my head, if you want to understand like the mental math happening here. um, I'm staying in the shadows and I'm lighting it as if the light is coming from the bottom. That's basically it. I mean, you have to know the planes of the face and all that stuff, like, and how all that works. But this is the basic idea. You can also, if you depending on how you did it, since I've got all the shadows like separated, I can just select the shadows and use that selection to like make a softer red coming from the bottom. This is you guys are seeing this a little bit more saturated than I am, slightly. Whoops. It's not much, but it's this captures software I'm using is too much. That red in the ear is just from the. If you take a light, shine it through your ear, it's red. In the way that light's hitting him, it would go through his ear, so it's really red. Hello all. Hello Steve. How are you? You should try doing Wednesday stream on YouTube. Lots of new faces tonight. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't want to. I think I want to keep the Twitch thing at the same time. Like that's like our little weekly board meeting. At least it feels that way to me. Like what's going on in your life this week? But I don't know. I'm debating still about what to do going forward. There's only slightly more people than what I would get on Twitch. I mean, we're at 30 people right now, 29 people. What I get on Twitch, 25, 20? I mean, you know, it's all about the same. And last thing I'm gonna do, and now because he's lit from behind, even on this side, all of these planes of his face, I'm pointing at my face like you guys can see. I guess you can see. I guess it's on this side. So like on this side, it kind of becomes like a mirror, you know, because if like you can see this spot on my forehead. Hold on, let's take advantage of this fancy camera. Does that work? Whoa. Yeah. So you see how this light over here has got some little reflective spots on it? Like this is not a perfect example, but the light is bouncing, it's actually reflecting off of this. Like if I turn my head, you'll see that it gets like right there. You can see like a really bright highlight right there. If I put my, you can see that covering it up there. Like that little bright highlight is a reflected highlight. And so like what you would get along these edges of his face here is that blue light from the sky behind him would show up on that edge. And I don't have to do that, but it's not something like that it needs necessarily, but I want it to be there. Because it's still a little too flat looking to me. Like I said, it's subtle, but it makes a difference. All right. Let's see. Commander Hatchie. Hello. And some old ones. I do. What is your name on Twitch? I know that name sounds familiar. How about an hour on YouTube, then invite everyone over to Twitch for a second hour? Your video has been a huge help. Really cool to catch the live stream. Thank you, Smiling Bandito. Love the name. Steve Cange, I'm an old face. Yep, good. What tablet are you using? It's iPad Pro 2018, 12.9 inch. 256 gigs of storage. Storage doesn't matter. Uh, now that you're big, I can see the video and audio are out of sync. Oh, I forgot to turn this back off. I'm sorry. You guys gotta warn me about this stuff. Let's see. I'm working on my graphic novel right now, but I'm sending it out to be colored. That is a different beast. Hey, at least you realized it. You know, many people that started out in comics are like, color smaller. I can do that, and then they wonder why it sucks. Hire a colorist when you can. That's right. Okay. Is there anything else that I want to do on this today? I really didn't do anything with the ground. I mean, I don't guess it needs much, but do something. What else? I'm not really doing a whole lot with the smoke. I might shift that color away from blue a little bit, but I don't think it needs a whole lot. I'm just looking for areas that I just forgot to color at this point. Like these jewelry. What else? Looks like that's it. Okay, let's dump these into Photoshop, and I'll show you guys how I wrap these up. How we did on time? How long has it been? Do we know? Because I can't seem to find that. Oh, 2:27. I see. That didn't work. I use this file browser app, and I don't know, it's finicky. Sometimes it doesn't want to do anything. You just Google the book. Yeah, there are many pages of this book I cannot color on live on the internet. So when I can, I was like, let me try. This is Money Shot number 7. Number 7. I almost said 17. Number 7 for Vault Comics. I need to put that. I don't have my stuff set up. I usually have that on the screen. Okay, let's go look at Photoshop. Actually, you know what? Well, I'll open it up in Photoshop. I know, Jason, I know you want to see this third page. I'll pull it up. Okay, let's see. Need to... Alright, let's do that. Dang it. Sorry, I'm trying to line all this stuff up. I don't have my usual streaming thing is it's not what I have going right now. What are we doing? Looks very trippy. It really is a very good book. It's written by Tim Seeley and Sarah Beatty. Nacho Sarah, you might know her from Instagram. I think the entire internet follows her on Instagram. Um, yeah, so yeah, it was drawn by Rebecca Isaacs, colored by me, lettered by Crank. Do you have a video comparing 2017 and 2018 from a digital artist point of view? I do not. It doesn't really matter, honestly. I mean, I don't think there's anything. I mean, other than maybe some of the like more layers in Procreate or something, maybe, but I don't really come up against problems with that. Um, all right, so and sometimes once I see things on my desktop, I don't know why it works this way, but like all of a sudden things will be like, oh, I'm like, oh, why did I do that? And like I want to darken this guy up a little bit, a little fisherman guy, just so that he's not lost. She drew him, so let's maybe get people to notice him. Um, I think so. It looks like the river's kind of bending around us. Like these buildings are all a little bit closer than these over here. So, are you guys seeing all this? Okay, I didn't even look. Okay, yeah. And yeah, Tim Seeley created it. Yeah, he's one of the creators. I mean, him and Sarah and uh, Rebecca are the creators on it. But no, it's a very it's a good book, I must say. I think it is a solid book. Um, anyway, I'm gonna just put some haze back here on this side. So this to me it looks too flat, like it just looks like a diorama. And so I'm going to basically select everything in the background and deselect all this stuff in the front so that it doesn't go over that. Although I don't think it's going to make that much difference. This is going to be very subtle. And I don't know. Yeah, that's better. I don't really want to cover up the this building here. This is kind of like the focus here. I mean, it's not incredibly obvious that it has to be the case, but so I'll just delete it from there. And I'm going to darken this up a little bit. I do want this building to come forward a little bit more than the rest of them. Because it does look like it's closer to the river, or whatever this is. Yeah, now it kind of feels like, at least to me, it feels like the focus is stronger there. It probably shouldn't be that blue here. That is kind of like kindergartner coloring of river blue. I did want to make it clear that it was water. I think with the what you call it on both sides of it, the this inflatable thing that doesn't really exist in the real world. You watched the cops fish a dead body out of that river a few months ago. Oh, I don't. Yeah, not something I've seen here. And I think I want to lighten this up a little bit more along the bottom here, because you see how the inks kind of fade. To me, that's telling me that like she expects that to be brighter. So that's what I'm gonna do. Probably not a lot, but just to show that there's a building there. What else? Welcome back, Aramis. What are you doing? Hey, quit. You want to come talk to the people? You want to come talk to people on the internet? Apparently not. What else? I think I want this shadow on this building to be a little bit cooler. Oh, now you want to talk. Huh? Now? This is probably stuff no one will notice or care about, but what layer is that? That one? All right. I don't like this color. This highlight on their skin looks too yellow to me. That's one thing that I don't quite understand in Procreate is it seems to me, whoa, it seems to me that it does the math on add mode a little bit differently. And the weird thing is sometimes I notice it more than others, it seems like. Like, I don't know. I'm basically warming it up, getting it away from that yellow color. And sometimes if it's too soft, like I think this works, but what I'll do sometimes is just double that layer. And you're basically instantly increasing the contrast, like if that's what you want. I don't know if I like it any more or any less, but you can take that second layer and then turn the opacity down too and play around with it. At least in this mode it works. Everything else I think, so this definitely needs like one of those, I need like a big old reflective glare off of this thing. Is the iPad Pro a good investment, or a graphic tablet like Wacom or Huion is better? It's really personal preference. I use both. Like I'm using a regular Intuos, I don't know, it's $200 Intuos graphics tablet right now. But most of the rendering I do is on an iPad. So, I mean, it all works. I colored for several years on this without a Cintiq or anything, so it doesn't really matter a whole lot. But they're just very different. Those are completely. I don't put those even in the same category of like an Intuos and an iPad feel very different. So I wonder if I can find a good lens flare that isn't over the top. Can't believe I'm going to put a lens flare on here. I don't want to buy a lens flare. I want a free lens flare. Don't make me paint a lens flare. What does this look like? This is overkill, but I want to try it anyway. It's not even going to fit properly, I don't think. Anyway, I'll try it. Yeah, it's going to look weird. It's in the corner. I don't want that. Lens flare, you think you're a little bit late? We're talking about lens flares, so you're right on time. I wonder if does Procreate have a lens flare brush? Let's find out. It does, but not really what I want to do. All right, we're gonna paint a lens flare. I don't really want to, but we are. All right, so I'm on a new layer, and we'll put this in screen mode. I'm just labeling it screen so you guys can see. And well, what sucks is it's on white, so there's not. I'm not gonna be able to see this very well, I don't think, but I want to try anyway. Now I'm gonna take a soft brush with not a soft brush, a lasso, and set the feather to 10. We'll see what happens. And I'm gonna kind of draw a. I'm gonna kind of draw a cross here, like a big X. And because there's a little bit of feather in the lasso, these edges are going to be soft. It's like too much. But what happens if I shrink it? Yeah, so much that you're not really able to see on this white. It doesn't look horrible. Use Photoshop's filter. I don't know how. Someone help me. Let's turn this off. I don't hate it, but it's not awesome. We're going to label all three of these crap. Crap lens flare. Turn that off. All right, filter. New layer. Why not? Filter. Lens correction. Filter gallery. Distort, pixelate, sharpen, stylize. Anybody know where this is? Render lens flare. The selected area is empty. Alright, let's make it black and put it in screen mode. Does that do anything? Filter, render, lens flare. Interesting. Yeah, I've literally never used this before. Look at that. Whoa, I did not need to do that. Where was I? Can't really see it very well. What's the best way to do this? Anybody know? I don't think I'm gonna get the color that I want out of this. I mean, screen is the only thing that'll hide the black. I mean, unless I can do something else. If it was a white background, would it make any difference? Oh, you can't see the pull down menus? I mean, we could double it. That's just gonna wash everything out. Alright, let's try. If I fill it with white and set that to... No, I have to set it to multiply. That wouldn't work. I mean, I think I would have to... Let me just see if this works. If I put everything on one layer, it probably looks better then, right? Yeah, I think what it is so much of this is so light. Like, I mean, it's just light colors behind it. That's probably why. If I had to guess anyway, that's why. Why is that not working? Yeah. I might just wait and do that at the end then, because I'm not really ready to finalize this yet. I'm gonna yeah, like I think my regular crappy one is probably just as good as what anything else I'm gonna get. Let's see, can we merge these without it screwing it all up? Yeah, I think that's fine. Alright, so I'm going to get under the inks, but above everything else. Sorry, I can bring this mic closer now. So under the inks and above everything else, I'm going to make a levels adjustment. I don't think this needs very much. I don't... I'll sometimes play around with what it looks like brighter, but in some cases it just doesn't make any difference. I don't really want the darks. Darker. I'm going to pull up the output levels is what it's called a little bit. It just, what it does is it takes the darkest parts out of it, if that makes sense. So I'm lighting that up just a little bit. Because that way, if I've accidentally got like a shadow that's darker than I want or whatever, like, that'll usually take care of it. And on this one, nothing is jumping out as awful. I think the values in this one, in panel 4, I think I would like that to be a little bit lighter behind him, or at least a different. I want to just try this. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm going to try it anyway. Let's see. There we go. I like that better. I just want more difference. I want more difference between the foreground and the background. I mean, realistically, it wouldn't make that much difference, but realism doesn't really count here. Let's see. What else? I think I'm going to shift this color on her, the highlights on her skin. I'm going to pull that a little bit warmer. Slightly. I'm going to lighten her skin a little bit in panel 2. She's far away, and there's just too much saturation. Like, she wouldn't be that saturated if we're looking through like a blue atmosphere. So I desaturated her skin on that one a little bit. And I'm going to shift this guy's suit away from this blue so that it doesn't mix with the panel next to it. Like, I don't want you accidentally thinking that this is a shape. Like, this shoulder up into his shoulder. I mean, you probably wouldn't, but I don't even want it to be close. We can't see your levels window. I think I know what it is. I am sharing the Photoshop window instead of the display, which is what I usually do. I gotta tweak on this for next time. All right, I'm gonna increase the contrast on her skin in this first panel. Those highlights need be a little bit punchier. So I just doubled that layer and make sure it didn't do anything silly. I do think I'm going to shift these colors of this smoke a little bit, just so to get it away from this line right here. I don't want all that to just be blue, because then it starts running together. Like, I kind of darkened this guy here relative to this. You can kind of see that. And then these buildings way off in the background, I'm just going to make them bluer, because they're way back there. I don't know. This is my process, as weird as it is. I'm just like pushing and pulling and trying to make all this work. I don't like that these jewels are the same color as whatever it is she's wearing here. So I'm going to change those. Do we want it to match the blue? Yes, I think we do. This is the first time she's appearing, so she doesn't really have established palettes yet. I didn't really do any rendering on these, I just noticed. So what up, Tim Adams? How's it going? Art looks great as usual. Thank you. I didn't draw this, but I did color it. Line art by Rebecca Isaac. This bit of green through here is weird. Gotta change it. Alright, last thing I think I'm going to do is shift the color on her skin. It looks weird to me. Alright, and then same as the other page. Sometimes I'll, like especially pages that I've colored like back to back myself, I'll just grab the same levels adjustment and drag it into the new one. And a lot of times that does what I want it to do. I don't know. I don't really like it on this though. So I'll just make a new one. Alright, I think we're done. This is the third page. We didn't get to it today, but he is I won't spoil it, but he earns this. He's alive. He's just shocked, and that's all. So there you go, Jason. If you're not paying attention, here's page 3, and you wanted to see it. I'm just now seeing. I need to go to bed. Can I see page 3 now? Should have told me you're waiting. But yeah, I might do this. I'll do this. I'll do this tomorrow on Twitch at the usual. Wait, is that tomorrow? No, today's Monday. I might do this tomorrow. I might just do this on YouTube tomorrow in the morning. But yeah, any questions or comments or concerns? I haven't yet decided whether or not I'm going to do any kind of like effect over this because of the flashback. I don't think I am. I'm just gonna let it roll. Her skin looks weird to me. She looks yellow. Better. So yeah, any other questions before we wrap it up? Thank you for the surprise stream. Yeah, I like. Maybe I'll do this more often. And then I'm not able to do as many tutorials as I did last year. Just my coloring schedule is a lot heavier than it was. So I'm hoping to maybe do some more stuff like this on YouTube until I get the new channel ready. That's a whole other project, though. I'm not ready to talk about yet. Not coloring this in Procreate. I have been, and right until you got here. Literally, like I moved into Photoshop to kind of wrap this up as soon as you showed up. Can you tell about smudge brush? What do you want to know about this smudge brush? Talking about in Procreate? Because I don't like the smudge brush in Photoshop. I don't use it. Did I save all this stuff? Let's tell you what. I'm gonna go ahead and send this to. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do this. Yeah, I'll show you guys the. We can talk about the smudge tool in Procreate if you want. Well, you got to tell me what you want to know about it. I need specifics. Oh, the other thing, I don't know if you guys noticed, I didn't bring it up, but I get asked quite often about how I convert to CMYK, and you'll notice or how what do I do to convert the colors? Like right now, if you hit Control or Command Y, it'll show you a CMYK preview. I'm toggling it off and on now, and you probably can't even see the difference. Like there's a little bit of difference in like how saturated this blue is, but like it's not enough to make a difference. So as long as you avoid those colors that are like in the top right corner of the color picker, the conversion doesn't really do much. I mean, you can kind of see it here. It's a little bit more saturated, but like I'm coloring this knowing it's going to end up here, if that makes sense, you know. And a lot of times in Photoshop, I'll just leave that on. So anyway, what do you guys want to know about the smudge brush? Can you get a song before you go? No, my wife's asleep, so no guitar today. I haven't done that in a while. I kind of forgot about it. Okay, if you guys don't tell me what you want to know about Smudge Brush, I can't help you. Thanks for coming by, Jason. Appreciate it. I don't mind answering any questions, but I just need some kind of specifics. Otherwise, I will shut it down. We'll do this tomorrow. Going once. Okay, whoever asked about the smudge brush must be gone. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming. I might try to do this more often on YouTube. So, but I will definitely, let's see, tomorrow I'll definitely jump on and we'll do this one probably around 10 a.m. Central, my time, about 12 hours from now. And thanks, Snake. There is you're showing your age, Commander Hatchie, is what that means. Baba, I hear you. What do you want to know, man? I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Let's do it. You asked about the smudge tool. I just need to know what you want to know. I'll tell you. I promise. I will wait one more minute. Okay. It doesn't appear like that's gonna happen. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming by. Baba, if you figure out what you want to know about the smudge tool, message me, comment on the video or something. I'll see it somewhere and I'll answer your question next time. All right. Thanks for watching all. See you next time.